Alright, welcome back everyone for another video. So, according to my events calendar, it is Monday, which means Genesis Bible study. And today we are going into chapter 24. Now, if you guys don't know what I mean by my events calendar, there is a link to my Instagram account in the description below that will take you, like I said, take my Instagram account, and you do have to subscribe to it or follow because it is on private. But on there, somewhere on there, near the 1st of April, of course, there is an events calendar on there that will show every single video I'm going to be posting this coming month. I will be doing the exact same thing come next month on the 1st, and the month after that on the 1st, and so on and so on. So every month on the very 1st of every month, I'll be posting an events calendar with every single video I'm posting for that month and on which day they're being posted. Now lately I have been scheduling my videos to be dropped at 2 o'clock, but there are sometimes they might be dropped at 4 o'clock based on whether or not if I need to redo or edit or something. So all my videos will be dropped somewhere between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Lately it's been 2 o'clock, but I do want to keep that extra 2-hour cushion just in case. So let's go ahead and get into today's Bible study. It is quite a bit of a long one. There is, let's see, how many verses is there? 67 verses to this one. And this one is on Isaac and Rebecca basically meeting. So I'm going to do this slightly different than I normally would. Normally I would read it all the way through. But because this is such a long chapter, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take it section by section, like paragraph. So I will stop at the end of every paragraph and kind of just give a review of what was going on. And if I have any notes on that, we'll go into that as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and open our Bibles. I am reading the ESV version, and let's dive right into it. It says, Now Abraham was old, well advanced in years, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said to his servant, the oldest in his household, who had charge of all that he had, Put your hand under my thigh, that I may make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and earth. The God of heaven and the God of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but will go to my country and to my kindred and take a wife for my son Isaac. Their servant said to him, Perhaps the woman may not be willing to follow me to this land. Must I then take your son back to the land from which you came? Abraham said to him, See to it that you do not take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and who spoke to me and swore to me, To your offspring I will give you this land. He will send me his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son there. But if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from this oath of mine, only you must not take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. So first off, the oldest servant is referring to Eleazar, and he held his position since before 15:2, managing all that Abraham had. He was the oldest servant that Abraham had, and Abraham wants his wife to be, or Abraham wants his son's wife, to be among his ancestors, not of the Canaanites. So that's why he's trying to get his servant to go back to his old roots, basically, to get him a wife and not from the Canaanites that he's currently dwelling among. So Isaac has never left this promised land, Canaan, and so his wife has to come to him, so much that he would not have a wife if she did not come. Alright, so he is dead set on the fact that his wife is going to come from his old roots. He is not going to have his wife take a Canaanite for a wife, but this is, as he said, so he says, to your offspring I will give this land. So he's literally in Canaan. But Isaac has never left this land. He has never gone back to his father's old roots. But his father's insisting on his wife come from there. So much so to the fact that if the woman is not willing to come to him, he probably is not going to have a wife. And at that point, his old servant, Eleazar, is going to be free from this oath that he's making. Now, the whole thigh thing, okay, so now, that is a serious oath, okay, so I put notes down here, it says, it's a serious oath, and he anticipated his death while he was gone. So, he really wanted his servant, Eleazar, to be bound by this oath to make sure his wife was, that his son's wife was from his old roots. And that is why he had the whole hand underneath the thigh part, okay? It is a very serious oath, okay? And Isaac is part of the deal, not Ishmael. Just clarify, okay? The offspring, to your offspring, that is Isaac, not Ishmael. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to the next set of paragraphs, but it goes down to 14. It says, then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed, taking all sorts of choice gifts from his master, and he rose and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. And he made the camels kneel down outside the city by the well of water at the time of evening, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, O Lord, God of my master Abraham, please grant me success today and show steadfast love to my master Abraham. Behold, I am standing by the spring of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Let the young woman to whom I shall say, please let down your jar that I may drink, and who shall say, drink, and I will water your camels. Let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Isaac. By this I shall know that you have shown steadfast love to my master. Okay, so first off, we have the fact that he took 10 of his master's camels and went out to Abraham's old roots. Now the city of Nahor is Ur of the Chaldees, how you say it. So he is now concerned, he's trying to take care of the animals first off. So he's bringing them water, but because these camels drink a lot. Okay, so he prays to God and asks them that the very first woman, or not, maybe not the very first woman, but the woman that he says he asked for a drink of water, he is hoping that God will show favor to Isaac and to Abraham, that he will make her the woman who will actually, he's hoping that the woman that gives him water will also give water to his camels, and that will be a sign saying that she is the woman who is going to be Isaac's new wife. Okay, so first we have, so the city of Nahor refers to the two men, Nahor and Abraham's grandfather and his brother. Okay, so that's who the city of Nahor is referring to. He's referring to his grandfather and his brother. Just a little tidbit for them. Okay, so he was asking God to have this as used as a sign, the whole water and him and the woman offering to give water to his camels too. Okay, he says, odds set against finding someone, says let her be. Now a camel drinks up to 20 gallons of water. That's a lot, and to water 10 camels will take a lot of work. So he is trying to really use that as a sign that she is the one God is choosing to be Isaac's wife. Okay, and I think that's all I have for that part. So let's go ahead and continue on. Okay, it says 15. Before he had finished speaking, behold, Rebekah, who had born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her water jar on her shoulder. The young woman was very attractive in appearance, a maiden whom no man had known. She went down to the spring and filled her jar and came up. And then the servant ran to meet her and said, "Please give me a little water to drink from your jar." She said, "Drink, my lord." And she quickly let down her jar upon her hand and gave him a drink. Then she had finished giving him a drink, and she said, "I will draw water for your camels also, until they have finished drinking." So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough and ran again to the well to draw water, and she drew for all his camels. The man gazed at her in silence to learn whether the Lord had prospered his journey or not. Now this is so before he had finished speaking, okay, Isaiah 65:24 speaks, captivating for his gracious answer, okay, and then Rebecca, oh, I used captivating, my bad. Rebecca means captivating in, I don't know, my notes are all messed up. Okay, let me just look down here. Okay, either way, I'm just gonna continue on, okay? My notes are all sorts of messed up right now. Either way, okay. So first off, Rebecca was one of the few women who the Bible actually refers to as beautiful. The others were Sarah, which is obviously we just finished Sarah, and then Rachel in Genesis 29:17, which we will come up to her. Then we have Bathsheba in 2 Samuel 11:2, Tamar 2 Samuel in 14:27, Queen Vashti obviously in Esther 1:11, Esther herself in Esther 2:7, and then the daughters of Job in Job 42:15. So that's quite a few people that they did say were beautiful, but it's still, with how many other women are in the Bible, that's still quite few in between. Either way, like I said, going on. So he had barely just finished speaking when Rebecca came out, and she was the daughter of Bethuel, who's the son of Milcah and the wife of Nahor, which, like I said, is Abraham's brother. So it says that she's very attractive in appearance, and no man has known her. And again, this is referring to no man has actually had sex with her. To know someone is basically the exact same thing to know her sexually. So she's a virgin, in other words. So this is a sign right here. First off, he goes and asks her for water. She gives him water, and then she offers to give his camels water until they've had their fill. So this is a sign of prayer that he had just made, that she is going to be Isaac's wife, and God had actually chosen her. He had granted the servant's prayer and used that as a sign, just like he had asked. Okay, so like I said, the name Rebecca means captivating in nature. Okay, that's what I wanted to put out. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the next part. Alright, yeah, one last part. So the very last of it says, the man gazed at her in silence to learn whether or not the Lord had prospered his journey or not. So this, I'm going to point out, was because Eleazar had wanted to see if she had a servant's heart or not. Or if she was just talk, basically. Okay, going on. It says, when the camels had finished drinking, the man took a gold ring weighing half a shekel, which, like I said, as I mentioned before, a half a shekel, or a shekel itself, is about 2.5 ounce or 11 grams. Just want to point that out before I continue. He gave her half a shekel and 2 bracelets for her arms weighing 10 gold shekels, and said, "Please tell me whose daughter you are. Is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" She said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Micah, whom she bore Nor." She added, "We have plenty of both straw and fodder, and room to spend the night." The man bowed his head and worshipped the Lord, and said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his steadfast love and his faithfulness toward my master. As for me, the Lord has led me in the way to the house of my master's kinsman." Then the young woman ran and told her mother's house about these things. Yeah. All right. So first we have the fact that he gave her a gold ring and 2 bracelets. So this is this is proof of generosity and wealth of his master, which his master Abraham is very wealthy. So then he goes into asking her, like, "Whose daughter are you?" And he wants to spend the night at her father's house. So he wanted to know her family, and then he praised God when he found out that she was related to Abraham, because he knew Nor. So the servant, bowed his head. He worshipped God. So this shows that the servant's mentality and trust in God would guide him along the way. Okay. Let me put this back real quick so I can continue. Okay, stay on it. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and go on to the next part. Rebecca had a brother whose name was Laban. Laban ran out toward the man to the spring. As soon as he saw the ring, the bracelet on his sister's arms, and heard the words of Rebecca, his sister, "Thus the man spoke to me." He went to the man, and behold, he was standing by the camels at the spring. He said, "Come in, O blessed of the Lord. Why do you stand outside? For I have prepared the house and a place for the camels." So the man came to the house and unharnessed the camels and gave straw and fodder to the camels, and there was water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. Then food was set before him to eat, but he said, "I will not eat until I've said what I have to say." He said, "Speak on." Alright, so can you not? Alright, so first we have Laban, who was motivated to show basically the appropriate kind of hospitality to the servant, because he literally just gave his sister some valuable jewelry. He gave her a ring and bracelets on his sister's arms, and so that kind of just proves the fact is that, one, that's kind of hard to get by. So whoever he came from is rich, which means in a sense the servant's kind of rich because Abraham's blessing him. It's kind of whatever. The point is he's rich by nature because of his master, and he gave it to his sister, which proves that he comes from someone very powerful. And Laban, like I said, her brother, is wanting to show him the appropriate hospitality that he deserves, and he gives the servant a warm greeting and tells him, "Hey, come into the house. We have prepared food for you guys, and we have a place for the camels to rest." But the servant has flat out says, "I will not eat anything until I've said what I need to say." And he was really focused on the mission that he was tasked with. So he didn't want anything else to get in the way of that. So this whole entire thing is a life-changing event so far already for Rebecca, which is why she ran to her mother's house. And then her brother came out. Alright, going on again. So he said, "I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has greatly blessed my master, and he has become great. He has given him flocks and herds and silver and gold, male servants and female servants, camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old. And to him he has given all that he has. My master made me swear, saying, You shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but you shall go to my father's house and to my clan, and take a wife for my son. I said to my master, Perhaps the woman will not follow me. But he said to me, The Lord before whom I have walked will send his angel with you, and prosper your way. You shall take a wife for my son from my clan and my father's house. Then you will be free from my oath. When you come to my clan, and if they will not give her to you, you will be free from your oath. So he's basically, first off, Abraham left Ur a while ago, and this is telling them how he fared since leaving. He has been given all this stuff: male servants, female servants, donkeys, camels, gold, everything basically. And Abraham only had one heir, Isaac. So he says that he repeats what Abraham wanted. Abraham has great faith in God and never doubted him, which is why he says, will send an angel to you and prosper your way. He has no doubt that his servant is going to be successful in this mission. And it says, like, then you'll be free from my oath. And he's literally repeating what Abraham said, that he is insisting that his wife comes from the land of his roots and not of the Canaanites, and he's telling this all to them. Okay, going on. I came today to the spring and said, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, if now you are prospering the way I go, behold, I am standing by the spring of water. Let the virgin who comes out to draw water, to whom I shall say, Please give me a little water from your jar to drink, and who will say to me, Drink, and I will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom the Lord has appointed for my master's son. Excuse me. Okay, so at this point, he is literally now just repeating his promise. He is making it very clear that he's talking about Rebecca. So he proves that he didn't set anything up, but God heard his words and made it happen. So he made the prayer, or he prayed to God asking him for this to happen. Then Rebecca came out and did as he had prayed, said what he had said. She gave his camels water, and he never set anything up. He had literally prayed to God asking for this to be a sign. Before I had finished speaking in my heart, behold, Rebecca came out with her water jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and quickly drew water. I said to her, Please let me drink. She quickly let down her jar from her shoulder and said, Drink, and I'll give you camels drink also. So I drank, and she gave the camels drink also. Then I said to her, Whose daughter are you? She said, The daughter of Bethuel, Ner's son, whom Micah bore to him. So I put the rings on her nose and her bracelets on her arms. Then I bowed my head and worshipped the Lord and blessed the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who had led me the right way to take the daughter of my master's kinsman to his son. So right now, all he's doing is basically repeating everything that's happened, which that's kind of really a long about, and he could have just simplified it, but I guess in the Old Testament and back then that's kind of standard. So he's basically right now retelling what happened with her, what he said to Rebecca, what Rebecca said to him, and the fact that he gave her these rings and the bracelets. Says, Now then, if you are going to show steadfast love and faithfulness to my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. So this answer kind of seems obvious to my opinion. He's literally trying to figure out what their answer basically would be. It says, Then Laban and Bethuel said, The thing has come from the Lord. We cannot speak to you bad or good. Behold, Rebekah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has spoken. So at that point, like I said, they can't say whether or not he's bad or good. The servant understands they wouldn't say yes or no to him, but to his master Abraham. Which is where... Well, yeah, so it says, to my master, tell me. Which he's basically saying, tell me what your answer is so I can go back and tell my master. So either say yes or no to the master. Okay? And at this point, they decided quickly, okay? At this point, it's like where it says, Rebekah is before you, take her and go. They didn't even hesitate. They didn't even question, because the fact that he is speaking so genuine, so in depth of exactly what happened. He told him exactly the prayer. He told him about his master. He told him about his master's oath. Everything. He's being completely straightforward, completely honest with them, completely genuine. He is speaking from the aspect of that he spoke to God, and God granted him his request. They have no question that he is not someone of importance and actually from God. I mean, not directly, but Abraham is, and he is. They're not denying the fact that he is what he's trying to do is what he says he's going to do. Right, so when Abraham's son heard their words, he bowed himself to the earth before the Lord. And the servant brought out jewelry of silver and gold and garments and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave to her brother and to her mother costly ornaments. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank, and they spent the night there. When they arose in the morning, he said, send me away to my master. Her brother and mother said, let the young woman remain with us a while, at least 10 days. After that she may go. But he said to them, do not delay me, since the Lord has prospered my way. Send me away, that I may go to my master. They said, let us call the young woman and ask her. And they called Rebekah and said to her, will you go with this man? She said, I will go. So they sent Rebekah away, their sister, and their nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men, and they left Rebekah and said to her, and I'll get to that in just a second. So like, not only did they quickly decide that they're gonna send their daughter and sister away to be married to this strange man, he really wanted to just like get going, okay? But first, he gave them silver, gold. He gave garments to Rebekah. He gave costly ornaments to her brother and her mother. And this is kind of just like a sign that she would become one with Isaac. This is a sign that she's going to be taken care of, that Isaac has inherited his father's wealth, and basically kind of like a bridal gift to the mother and the brother, because they are the ones granting Rebekah to go and be married to Isaac. So he stayed the night with them. He ate, he drank, they had a good time. They were just relaxing. The next day, the servant wanted to get up and go. He wanted to go back to his master, and he's insisting on them to send them back to his master. But her brother and her mother had wanted Rebekah to stay for at least 10 days before she went to Isaac. But he doesn't want that to happen. He doesn't want anything to interfere with his mission. He doesn't want to delay, which is where he says, do not delay me, since the Lord has prospered my way. Send me away, that I may go back to my master. And so at that point, they call Rebekah and ask her, hey, do you want to go with this man or not? And Rebekah doesn't hesitate and says, I will go. Okay, so she showed remarkable willingness to go with him, and at that point they sent her nurse and Rebekah and her nurse back with the servant and everything else they came with. And at that point they bless. Rebekah says, our sister, may you become thousands of tens of thousands, and may your offspring possess the gates of those who hate him. Okay. Then Rebekah and her young woman rose and rode on the camels and followed the man. Thus the servant took Rebekah and went his way. Now Isaac had returned from Beer Lahai, whatever, and was dwelling in the Negeb. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward evening. And he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, there were camels coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from the camel and said to the servant, "Who is that man walking in the field to meet us?" The servant said, "It's my master." So she took her veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. Then Isaac brought her into the tent, and Sarah his mother took to meet. Then Isaac brought her into the tent of Sarah his mother, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So after being blessed, Rebekah and her nursemaid, basically, they go with the servant back to the land of the Canaan, where Isaac is. But Isaac is not in Canaan. Okay, he was in Negeb, which is where they met him. And Isaac had actually went out into the field to go meditate or to pray or something. And at that point, then he sees a bunch of camels coming towards him. And Rebekah sees him coming towards them. And so she covers her up after she finds out that that is the master, the one she's going to be marrying. Isaac brought her into the tent of Sarah, she became his wife at that point. And it even says he loved her, which is sweet. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death, because now he had a wife, he had someone who's going to love him, he had someone he was going to love, and he was going to continue on with their own kids and going into the future. And that is all of chapter 24. Now, before I get into anything else, I want to read this reflection that they have on chapter 24. It's called The Everyday Sacred. It is by Anne Voskamp, which I really don't know what that means, but I think that's Russian. So it says, the way this chapter begins is the way to begin a day, a lens to rightly see life. And the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. 24:1. The Lord had graced Abraham with blessings in all things, in the midst of fading dreams, which is chapter 15. In the midst of family tensions, chapter 16. Even in the midst of Abraham's sinful choices, 10 through 20, and then 21 through 18. The Lord had graced him with blessings in all things. Now Abraham is old and widowed and wants a godly wife for a son. He sent his servant, one faithful disciple, not afraid to do hard things. The servant travels with a dowry, asking God for discernment to know his will, only to find one very faithful woman, Rebekah, who in four short verses is the subject of 11 action verbs. Rebekah came and went and filled and gave and emptied and gave again. The woman is a steady dance of giving grace. And there it is, the way to finish any task. The servant stands before the potential bride and bowed his head, blessing God with his thanks for our God, who has not forsaken his steadfast love and faithfulness. John Calvin looks at the response of Abraham's servant to God and suggests that our lives should respond in the same way. Abraham's servant gave thanks to God, since God requires nothing greater from us than giving thanks. Giving thanks is a more acceptable service than all sacrifices. God is continually heaping innumerable benefits. Ingratitude, therefore, is intolerable. The servant pours out his prayer of thanks. As for me, the Lord has led me. This is one of two verses of the term Nahal, which means lead, in the entire book of Genesis. Nahal refers to the guidance of the wilderness, well-being in time of stress. The best known use for Nah is in Psalms 23. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake, which means God leads. Throughout the entire journey, God has led. Yet nowhere in the story has God spoken, made visitations, or blatantly directed. In this story, God is not about obvious intervention, but about ordinary orchestration. This story, the single longest narrative in the entire book of Genesis, is a story of attention to details, to an ordinary woman doing daily things, to all these everyday moments. Why all the focus? Because God is in the details. God is in the moments. As for me, the Lord has led me in the way. Because this is always reality. God may not seem to be doing anything when He is actually directing everything. Because what seems like the everyday secular is actually the everyday sacred. Because God isn't only in the secular, He is in the small. God leads amid the pots, the pans, and pitchers of water. So we bow our heads and bless our God with our thanks. He has led us in the right way. That is a mouthful. Whew. All right. So that's pretty much the entire chapter. Like, straightforward. All right. There's one last thing I want to point out. Okay. One last thing, and I know I'm sorry this turned out to be a really long one, but this one was a long chapter to begin with. So I wanted to point out the comparison between Isaac and Rebekah versus Jesus and people. Okay, so they're coming together as mirrors of one. So a father desired a bride for his son. A son was accounted as death and raised from the dead. This is when Abraham was told to sacrifice Isaac. A nameless servant sent forth to get a bride for his son. The bride was divinely met, chosen, and called, then lavished with gifts. And then she was entrusted to the care of the servant until she met her bridegroom. So all of this is a mere comparison to Jesus and how his people was. If you really take a look at it, you can kind of see it, okay? Isaac loved his wife just as Jesus has loved his church, okay? So that is what this whole thing is reflection to. Isaac is literally the Old Testament version of Jesus. I mean, not really, but it's the mirror, okay? The way he lives his life, the way he was born, he was a miracle birth, he was sacrificed, or he was told to be sacrificed, and so on and so on. Okay, so this is literally just a mirror between the two of them, and that was the last thing I wanted to point out for you guys. If you guys have anything else you guys want to point out about this chapter, or you guys want to reflect on it, or you guys want clarification on it, go ahead and comment below about it. This was a really long chapter. I probably did miss some things too, and I did my best on this as I possibly could. But yes, so like I said, I really hope you guys understood what this chapter is pointing out. I really hope that reflection actually made a difference too. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and reminisce on this and everything else. So comment below, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell notification as well. And don't forget my Instagram account, okay? I will be posting updates, announcements, and the event calendars on my Instagram account. So that will be all in the description below. Alright. You guys have a great week. It is the start of a new week, so hopefully it goes good. Better than the last week of it, hope. Alright, love you guys. You guys have an awesome day.